All right, guys, we are prepping bait here with the master of catfish here, Muddy River Catfishing, Mr. Chris Flores himself. We're out here on Caballo Lake. Where's the reservoir?
Well, it's a reservoir too, technically.
But do they call it Caballo Lake or reservoir? Alrighty, well, it's Caballo Lake. As you can see, there's like an antenna looking thing out there in the water that's like a weather station. We've got this mountain over here. It's called Brushy Mountain. There's nothing brushy about it, but that's what it's called. We're in about 7 feet of water in the middle of this reservoir. And we're gonna catch some big ass catfish. It doesn't look like there's much in here, but man, there's some monsters. Monsters. The way we're gonna be fishing today is with the high-low rig. As you can see, this one's on the low side. I got a bunch of different badass rods. Again, he does have his own brand, Muddy River Catfishing. Find him on YouTube. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos of him catching these monster-sized fish in these small little rivers here in New Mexico. And yeah, he's gonna put us on some fish. But for now, we're just chopping bait. So these are about the size chunks we're gonna be using?
Yeah.
Remember guys, you want big fish, you gotta use big bait. Always. Well, no, that's not always true, because I've used some night crawler and caught some giant fish too. And then I've also got little Luke gill on the same worm, so.
You're more likely to catch a bigger fish with the bigger piece of bait.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is, if a catfish, his mouth is this big, right? And you're using a little bit.
Could you use the entire shad for a ginormous one?
They'll eat a whole shad. I've used
an entire shad.
An entire shad. I'll just like cut the tail off or make it bleed or fillet one side, and I'll drag a whole shad like that size. No, maybe the other one, not that big one, but the other one, and I'll catch like a 12-pound fish on it.
Holy shit.
So imagine what a 50, 60, 80-pound fish can eat.
Yeah.
They have big old mouths too.
How long does it take a catfish to get this big?
It all depends on areas. So let's say on the southern part of the country, right, where you have warmer water for longer time, they'll grow faster. If you have catfish that are in colder waters,
yeah,
their metabolism is slower.
So warmer waters will make bigger catfish.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, the majority of our lake water is warm during most of the year. Yep. It just barely started cooling off. And again, we're only in like 7 feet of water, guys. So it's not super duper cold down there.
All those little things are little fish.
Those are
the humps.
Yeah. So
this is how we read a meter right here. That's a hump, that's a hump, so that's a fish. That's another fish.
Get this thing lined up where I want it. Get the speed that I want.
So right now that thing's pulling us.
Yeah. So we want to go ideal speed is about 0.5, 0.4, 0.5 miles an hour. So I'll get us to speed.
And then we're gonna use these things called planer boards. From my understanding, these things take your bait out away in like a fan.
Right.
From the boat. That way you're not crossing lines and things like that.
So what we're gonna do, I'll show you how
Alright, let's learn.
So this is a dragging setup. This is a dragging weight. It's got lead on the bottom and it has foam on top, so it's dragging like this. This is touching the bottom, but this is up. That way, if you come across structure, it jumps over it and you don't get hung up. And then the reason we use this float is so it's also floating behind the dragging weight, and they work in unison to jump over stuff to keep you from getting hung up.
Gotcha. So does that dragon actually rest on the floor, or does it float up a little bit off the floor?
This has flotation, so this is up off the bottom.
So is it like a dragging Santee Cooper rig, kind of?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it is.
And then look how he hooks the bait, guys. You would always like imagine that you got to put a lot of bait on the hook, but the idea is you want the widest gap available.
Right. That allows the hook to do its job.
Yeah. That way it just sits in the corner of the mouth and it just hooks right on the edge.
That's right. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this down, let it hit the bottom. When it hits bottom, give it just a little bit more line, not a lot. And then we're gonna clip our planer board on. And what we do is I make double loop. I take the red clip or the front clip and clip it on. There's a little tooth that I put behind it so it doesn't come undone.
Yeah.
And then this one just clips onto the line that goes towards the bait, like that. Straighten this out a little bit. Then you just pitch it out there. And give it line. The more line you give it,
The farther out it goes.
it's gonna flame.
Ah, I get it now. I get it. I can see the angle that it creates.
Now the water pushes it.
So you've got 2 right hand and 2 left hand ones.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
So we'll do two planers on this side and 1 straight back, and then same thing on that side.
Okay.
So we'll have 6 rods out, 2 straight behind the boat, 2 a certain distance out, and then 2 even further, and we'll be covering a big old spread like that and just cruise this lake.
Awesome. So it's gonna be kind of like sea fishing in a way.
Yeah.
So that structure there in the water, those things surrounding it, I'm guessing that there's a wire going from each one to the
Right.
center?
Well, that's not necessarily from each one, but it's giving you a safe distance around the antenna.
So don't go near the antenna.
Right,
'Cause then you're gonna get caught up.
There are angled wires bracing it, but they're on that side of the buoy. But,
Ah, gotcha.
yeah.
But in a small little boat, could you get over there?
Oh yeah.
Like mine, for example?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, is it legal?
Is it legal to use a small boat?
No, to get so close to the antenna.
I don't think it says stay out. It just says.
Yeah, I don't see any signs that say no trespassing.
I see.
Whoa,
Go
there's a
ahead and
big
close
ass fish that jumped over there.
Watch, he just closed it. Now watch how that board starts.
Yeah, look, you can see the board's gonna start going that way.
That's cool.
That is cool. But you can definitely see how they're right and left-handed now.
Yeah, I'm a left.
Did you make these?
I made the metal ones. So the ones that are there, yeah, that's they're super easy to make.
I mean, it looks easy, but I've never seen them used, so this is really cool. Now, when you catch a big fish and that thing's floating at the end of it, is it any harder? Does it
You'll feel some pressure from it. But so when that planer board, you reel it up and it's floating in the air right here,
Yeah.
swing it to me and I'll unclip the red one and it'll slide down and then you can continue fighting.
Gotcha. Okay, guys, we're gonna see what we can catch with these planer boards. Interesting. Yeah, we got seagulls here too. Weird. Alright guys, I'm gonna make another video.